My name's Silva. Got married to my husband when I was 23. We've been together since I was 14, and started trying to conceive about a year after we got married, so at the age of about 24. After about a year of starting to try to have baby, we realised that it wasn't happening, and there was friends that had started to have babies, so I questioned that something wasn't quite right. So went to the doctors and started the process of fertility tests, and found nothing was classed as unexplained infertility, and was under the local authority for about 3 years, going through 6 rounds of Clomid, 3 cycles of IUI, before then thinking about the IVF process. The last cycle of Clomid did end up me getting pregnant, but unfortunately miscarried at 11 weeks, which was really hard. But I felt positive, the fact that it had happened, that it was something that was going to happen in the future, so we carried on. So 3 years after we started trying, we then looked at IVF. So we had 4 rounds of IVF in total, 1 miscarriage and loss, immune testing and all different investigations as well to try and find out the cause of our infertility. Generally, you know, if IVF's going to work, it's 3 cycles. So we had in our head that we'd try 3 cycles of IVF, as that was at the time, which I think NICE were recommending their guidelines. So we ended up having 4 because we had frozen embryos on our last cycle. After the 3rd cycle of IVF, really emotionally, physically very drained by the whole process. Again, that had taken probably between 2 and 3 years to go through that. So we decided to have a complete break from any fertility treatment. We moved house in that time, started to enjoy things again because it felt like everything had been on hold during that process. So when we did do it, it was almost a reluctant, this is it. It's our last cycle, our last shot of it, really. So we had the IVF, and it was over the summer. So at the time I was teaching full time. It was over the summer, so it meant that I could relax about it. And sadly, at the end of that IVF process, it was unsuccessful. So whilst in my body I was kind of prepared and didn't think it actually worked, I think both my husband and I both thought that logically, okay, we've got this one shot, we'll give it a go, and that's it. And if it doesn't work, we'll just move on with our lives. We were very kind of logical about it. But when it actually didn't work, it was quite a different reaction. I think the emotional side of it, of this being it, and in our hearts and emotionally and on all those different levels, it was just, this is the right thing to stop. And it's very trying and very stressful on relationships, both personal relationships, but also the impact on the wider family and friends as well, because they're obviously getting their hopes up and wanting this to happen, and it's not something that, when it doesn't work, there isn't anything that you can say. It's just one of those things, and it's very hard. When we decided enough was enough, I was left with a question, well, now what do I do? It was, being a mother was something that I just thought would always happen. It was in my heart. I'm very nurturing and supportive person, so it was a case of, what do I do now? And through processing through the grief of childlessness, decided that I wanted to do something positive with our situation. I wanted something to come out of it where that pain and the sadness had actually had a purpose. So I set up the Dovecote, which is the dovecote.org, which supports people that can't have children. I think socially the impact of childlessness, again, it's something that varies really. I found great strength from the peer-to-peer support, so finding people who are in my situation. I think socially we do feel like we're the ones that don't quite fit in. The majority of people in our lives do have children, do have families. My siblings have all got children, I've got nephews and nieces, so socially it can be quite isolating, difficult, because that loss feels more evident when you're in those situations. Through finding people, having that community, having that network, attending meetups with other people that are childless, that makes you feel, I guess, just less alone, really. We're less alone, there are other people out there, and it is a great comfort.